Hopefully he is. We've already got some all chat. Paulo's going grrr for whatever reason. Maybe upset that he has to lane into a Dark Seer with Iron Shell.
Fair.
You know, just letting his displeasure known. Again, well, the DP is not something we've seen too often. You do have... Man, the suppress is actually super annoying. You know, the silence enemies are slowed. So when you do silence up, that slow lasts the full 5 seconds at max level. And it's a massive slow as well. Even the value point, it just feels impossible to run away from this DP. But, I'm curious if they can play off the back of that really nicely here on the side of Aurora. Again, I'm expecting Aurora to play it a little bit more up-tempo, play around the EXO whenever it's up, even if they are just poking and prodding on mid, or just win a team fight off the back of it. Can start to snowball pretty fast for Aurora. For the side of TNC, and we'll have to see what Yoa brings out with his DK. His lane matchup alone is already pretty static and, again, slightly favorable here for Lornoff, all things considered.
The DP is certainly a very interesting pick. It's like that suppress facet does seem pretty damn busted. 5 seconds of 30% slow at max level seems kind of ridiculous. On top of the actual silence, but my goodness, I mean, props to Aurora for picking that one up, as we are going to get a 3-man bounty room pickup from TNC's end of things. So already a nice start in the net worth department for TNC. Of course, we do start with the mid lane as per usual, where you are going to see Lorenov against Yoe on the DP versus DK matchup. And this one generally did used to favor the Death Prophet. Of course, once you got a few points in Spirit Siphon, but we shall see how this one pans out.
Yeah, I don't think this changed too much. Should still be a pretty DP heavy favored. I mean, for the most part, I can see this coming out to a draw. Both sides playing more, much more safe, more conservatively, just farming up with their AoE clear, just kind of going from there. But once Lornoff has like level 2 Spirit Siphon, there is kill threat onto Yoa. Heck, he could go for a cheeky early point in the silence. Again, that movement slow does allow a little bit of a stronger chase down for Lornoff to tie into the Spirit Siphon as well. So I'm keen on seeing what the laning idea here for Lornoff is. Beyond that, again, we haven't seen this matchup in a long time, but it used to be a very standard sort of matchup up against a DK. No one really loses out. Both sides will farm into that 6. Earlier 6 timing leads to an early push. And that's basically it. Rune control, a little bit more important for Lornoff. Yoa would want to cut that off. We'll see down the line as we are taking a glimpse at the other lanes as well. Down bot, you've got Ollie on the Phoenix and 23 Savage on the Gyrocopter up against Cox on the Venge and Jing on Marcy. The Marcy here in this lane doesn't feel amazing. 2 ranged heroes, lots of poke, especially with a flat cannon. They've got Rocket Barrage to punish as well if Jing does rebound in at some point. This one's going to be a little bit more static for TNC. It's going to feel really good for Savage to just sit back and farm. Not as much you can do to disrupt this farming on TNC's end. There's a level 3 spike that can be good, but again, going into like a level 2 Rocket Barrage is really risky for the Marcy here. So you will end up just playing a little bit slower, a little bit greedier for TNC, and that just leads to a happier time for Savage to just farm up here.
Savage certainly is going to have a pretty easy time down at that bottom lane. Not really too much in the way of contesting him, that's for sure. And then that top lane's going pretty well for the safe lane of TNC. Like Jabs and Q are both just kind of sitting back here on the Spirit Breaker Darks here. You see a lot of damage being dealt here by Cuckoo with the Frostbite. It's a very annoying ability for this kind of laning stage for Jabs and Q, because you've just got a nice way of stopping the charge and the surge away, of course. As the levels do go up, especially level 3 is going to be the concerning part if you're Cuckoo and Palos, because that level 2 Iron Shell on a Spirit Breaker probably going to be a pretty painful experience, especially for Cuckoo. So he will have to be very wary of how he uses the Frostbite. Because if he doesn't hold it to cancel charge, he can just be run down quite easily by Q. For now, though, he is perfectly fine. Because Q could actually be in trouble. Charge committed, back on a Cuckoo. He'll be okay. Frostbite out, still taking a fair bit of damage here on the Spirit Breaker, but the Surge is going to allow him a way out. He was trying to get within position for the 3-minute Lotus Pool timing, but doesn't quite get it.
They do manage to force out a salve onto Palos, as he was sticking way too close to Jabs with an Iron Shell. It's going to have to watch that a little bit. Cuckoo is, well, he's still fully set. Has a Mango left, hands over the Lotus to Palos to feel comfy here. I think the key thing for Aurora is that they're not really able to get some pulls off for free, so there's no free soaking for Q. Level 2 mark is pretty decent. for the Spirit Breaker. And again, he does have his innate to allow some more EXP to flow in. I'm wondering if we start to see that commitment from Q to charge across the map. Mid again could be a viable target. Cuckoo a bit forward here.
He certainly is. Charge will be there. Cuckoo could not get the vision to cancel it, and Frostbite was on cooldown anyway, so Jabs able to secure first blood for Aurora. And that is really the scary thing. Like, Cuckoo, every time Frostbite's on cooldown, Q knows he can charge him. And it's going to be very hard to get away every single time. Q will go for the reset back towards the fountain. That's the Spirit Breaker. You've always got to charge back towards the lane, so you're more than happy. Middle lane, a bit of action breaking out. Yoe and Lorinov going at it, but they can't really kill each other. Like, Lorinov takes damage, just Spirit Siphons his way back to full HP. On the bright side for TNC, Yoe is pretty far ahead in terms of the CS department on that Dragon Knight. But, of course, he's not really applying that much pressure to Lorinov right now.
No, certainly not. It is still a sizable lead for the DK. I think that just kind of comes down to Breed Fire, where the damage reduction does make it tougher for Lorinov. And Yoe, again, still has some right-click harass when he goes forward with Worm's Rat. It does make it a little bit uncomfy to just stand there and try to fully apply the Spirit Siphon on Lorinov. So it is coming out to be a little bit more of a DK lane overall. Which again leads to some early timings for Yoe. Let's see if he'll opt for the Mage Slayer in this game. He's going to apply some pressure into Q again.
Q does have the charge up if he needs to charge away. Cuckoo's got the Frostbite though, which makes it a little bit hard. Q gonna try, but just charges back into the wing. No chance of getting out. Q will go down as now Jing bottom lane also losing his life. 23 Savage able to secure that kill. Cox trying to run away from the Sunray, but Ollie gonna do a lot of damage on his way out. Though Cox will, of course, still be perfectly fine. And all of that for 23 Savage's life, but 23 Savage does remain alive and remains in the lane to fight.
Again, it's the risk of the Marcy committing. With Rocket Barrage as a melee hero chasing down into Phoenix, really easy to land. These Fire Spirits land a dive as well. Just makes it a little bit uncomfy for the Marcy to try to clean up and try to play off those chain stuns. Putting a good amount of pressure on Jab's bot. Cuckoo.
The pressure. Cuckoo is going to go down. Jab's now in trouble as well. Jab's taking a fair bit of damage from Palos. Jab's is going to die. Q still going after Palos, hoping for some lucky bashes here. Still trying to man up. No bashes coming out here for Q, so he does need to escape. We'll have the charge back up in one if he wants to try again. Palos going to be maybe a little bit careful as Q.
Ooh.
Oh, he gets lucky. The classic double bash on the Spirit Breaker is bottom lane. 23 Savage chasing down Cox, quite unable to get there. The Venge will be fine, but that top lane Q, he got the double bash, which is exactly what you love to see as a pos 4 Spirit Breaker.
When he was right-clicking for a while with no bashes, Paulo should have expected something to come out at some point. Eventually a bash comes through and comes out at the right time there. You managed to get the big kill they're looking for. A strong start for Aurora outside of that mid, but even the mid lane, Lorinov is starting to just play his farm game and stay up there in net worth. And the side of TNC, not in a bad position, Aurora very slightly ahead. You do have Palos and Yoa still working net worth very early on in their advantage. Jabs and Cox having a bit of a slower start, but Jabs can catch up super fast with the Iron Shell. So it's not really concerning for the Darkseer. I'd say it's a little bit more concerning for the Venge, how slow this bot lane has been going. Like, it's going to be stalled out timings. If you're trying to rush the Ags, you want that as quick as possible. There's options for like Dragon Lance, maybe an Echo Saber as well for some slow utility on the jump in, depending. A little bit of a movement out from Aurora. Look to punish down bot here.
Charge will be out. Jing was going for a D-Ward and does get away with it, but it may cost his own life as he will rebound away. Cox will cancel the charge from Q. And even Cuckoo rotates over on the CM just in case they require the help. It seems as though Cuckoo TPing will be enough to force Aurora back, at least for now, though Jing is still playing a little bit aggressively on the Marcy. Will hang around the tree line, because they don't want to dive the tier 1 tower. Cox doesn't have that level 1 swap yet either, but they are going to throw a casual magic missile onto 23 Savage. It won't really amount to much though. It's now top lane, Jab's in trouble. Yoe takes him out on the Dragon Knight, tip out immediately from the DK. Meanwhile, bottom, Cuckoo's been caught on the CM, so they'll take Cuckoo's life away. Jing, he'll come in for a quick D-Ward. But a 1-for-1 trade across the map, certainly in the favor of TNC, as they do kill the Darks.
Nobody wins.
It's a big kill for Yoa to find, accelerate that blink timing here on the DK. Love this read on Yoa. Understands that they're going to need some jump in. Mage Slayer not going to be too necessary, although there is some good magic damage sources here. But they need some play. Still, charges out.
Gonna try. No Nether Strike available, so he's still going for a quick TP play out. The vacuum is out from Jabs. Yoa is still trying to survive, but there's your bash. Q will hold him down, and Jabs immediately with the voice lines. Quick revenge onto Yoa.
It's a nice big one. Gets the exo usage from Lornoff. Some chip damage onto tier 1 mid as well is available for Aurora. Though not too much time left. For at least get some action out on the map. Put the spell on cooldown. Looking for more.
Q. The bulldoze, obviously the frostbite not going to last too long here for Cuckoo, but the charge will never come. It was on cooldown anyway, actually.
That was unreal.
So Aurora, they got a fair bit of damage onto that tier 1 tower. Not enough to finish it with the exorcism, but it doesn't matter. They'll happily back out. The only unfortunate part about popping Exo like that is you are going to miss the 10-minute siege creep timing that you could have abused the exorcism with. But I don't think Lorenov really cares. He seems to be a much more farm-oriented style of player. So I'm sure he'll be more than happy to just sit back and just hit creeps for a while.
Yeah, you don't normally care too much. I think a lot of DPs are happy to either take a tower or take a fight, not necessarily looking for both in one use down bot.
Find Cox again, 23 Savage. Able to take down the Vengeful Spirit. Now a 1k advantage for Aurora. Mid lane is being forced in, but the charge is there. The egg is down. The wall has been dropped. They've got the Dragonite slowed up real badly as Yoe. He's going to try and get the stun off onto the Spirit Breaker, cancelling the charge. They will still chase Yoe down, but he will barely survive. And that was a lot of discipline from Yoe. He really held out to the last minute for that Dragon Tail, just waiting for the Spirit Breaker charge to come in. The problem is, though, he will still lose that mid-tier 1 tower. The 10-minute siege creep timing for Aurora still ends up paying off. As now bottom lane,
23?
the chase is on for 23 Savage, but he's got help around him. Palos will chase in, he'll get the kill, but can he get out? He'll time-lapse for now, but the charge is there. Q will lock them both down. At least they'll go after Jing, but they'll miss out on Palos. It's still a very good trade for TNC. Mind you, they do lose that mid-tier 1 tower, which is a pretty big deal. So not the worst for Aurora either, as it seems like Aurora now. Another 3-man smoke, they're not done yet. They want more.
They've got the fresh Atos on Lornoff. They've got Exo ready to go. They can look for a nice easy fight. Yoe.
And the strike up this time. Can knock him right back into Lorenov. And Lorenov should have him this time around. No escape for Yoe. Rod of Atos completed on the Death Prophet. Going to make life a lot easier for him. And Aurora, they're off to a very, very strong start now. 9-4 with a 1k advantage, 12 minutes in. But you are still finding a lot of farm on Palos and Yoe. But there comes a point with the Gyrocopter, once he's got that max flak cannon plus the Ags, we've seen how fast this hero can farm. It is a very big concern as the game does continue.
That it is. I think the other hurting point for TNC is just how slow the lane has been for Cox on this Venge. And he's been under a lot of pressure. He's not able to really slow down Savage by much outside of these rotation kills. And that means the Ag's timing stalled. It means the Venge persisting through that isn't there. They'll try to catch one.
Jump is out. They're onto the Death Prophet. Lorenov, he's a big deal to try and take out, but he will start healing up with the Spirit Siphons, and now with Cuckoo just channeling the freezing field, but it means nothing. Cuckoo gonna have to run the long way around as the wall is dropped, and Cuckoo will drop as Japs will secure the kill with the Iron Show onto Q. Now Jing gonna be targeted. Q maybe going a little bit too far, but they'll heal him up. He'll barely survive though. Jing jumping in anyway, does go after the Phoenix, but the egg does come out in time. Can they get it? They can. Ollie will lose his life, but they've got Cox. Lorenov, he will drop to boot. 3 down so far for each side. Oh, Savage. A big target. Palos wants the kill. Can he get it? No, he can't. The Sakuchi though, he'll chase him down, but Savage has made it. Jabs now being targeted, but Palos, he won't go for the chase. How does Savage just casually walk out of it?
Had just enough HP. The homing missile coming out forced Palos to have to clear it out because he was not the healthiest. He wanted to try to just get an unobstructed chase onto that gyro. and does miss out on the opportunity. Big wins for Aurora in this game. Strong early game plays coming out. Some punishment out from TNC. We're seeing some solutions. Again, the Marcy to deal with the egg is one way. You've got decent enough damage coming out from Cox. We didn't even see the swap saves kick into gear yet. Once the Ags is up on this Venge, again, things can happen, but Aurora have so much more to play with. I'll go with another smoke out. They still have Exo to throw out. They've got Nether Strike ready to go. Doesn't take too long to burst one here that shows in the map here.
Absolutely, they're going to try it. Mid lane. Having a look at Jing and Cuckoo, but they both managed to get out of there. Instead, they might look towards the north, where Palos is currently farming. And Palos still top of the net worth board on the Weaver. He'd be a great target if Aurora can find him. Just keep farming that area. Q will get within range now to see if he can find this Weaver, but Palos is now running the opposite way. So it seems like they'll miss out on Palos. They'll still stand by that T2 tower, but that's certainly not a tower you're willing to dive right now as Aurora. Palos will show himself again by that T2. And again, I highly doubt you dive as Aurora. You are playing it a bit safer. As long as 23 Savage is hitting creeps, I think you're more than happy as well. Like, he's second in net worth now, but farming this Ancient stack, he will be at the top. And at this stage, he will overtake the Weaver quite easily.
Yeah. Itemization's lining up well. Crystallis into the Ags, into a BKB Butterfly, forcing out some Evasion Pierce from the side of TNC, which they don't handily have. You could try for maybe a Bloodtorn on Yoe, but again, he doesn't commit for the Orchid. He's going for the BKB after this Blink, just to initiate for his team smoothly. For TNC, you are waiting for some of these BKB timings to start to line up. The double BKB for Jing, and for Yoe is what you're probably going to be looking for here, along with the Ags on Cox to be more willing to swap and die. Just have presence after the fact. The farm game still favors Aurora heavily. They're working the map better. Farming pace for Venge is ultra slow. You've got good farm spread as well on Q and Ollie. Again, you don't have too much to worry about. You have scaling on hand for Aurora. For the side of TNC, they're the ones under a little bit more pressure to play under tempo. Right? You want to hit these early spikes with your Weaver. You want to be able to try to isolate heroes with the DK. They've only managed to find one tier 1 down bot. Haven't made too much progress on the mid. And that mid is holding the triangles securely for Savage to keep farming up there as well, although Yo is on the hunt.
He's going to find Q. Q will get the bulldoze off in time, though. So Yoe not even bothering to throw the stun out. Very, very hard to catch the Spirit Breaker as long as he has his bulldoze available to go whenever. Of course, working on towards the Shadow Blade, which is very standard for a position 4 Spirit Breaker now. With the Bull Rush, it's practically impossible to catch him once he charges. They'll group up Aurora, they'll go towards 23 Savage, but TNC Predator, they've smoked up. As 4 heroes, they'll run towards the top of the map. The only person missing right now is their Vengeful Spirit. Cox is still on the bottom side of the map. Aurora, they're looking towards the Roshan pit now. They've got the level 2 Exorcism on Lorinov to try and use. TNC, they're running right towards them. They're still lacking their Venge, but the TP is incoming from Cox. Now Yoe will scout out. The Gleipnir locks a couple down. The Vac wall, though, they've already got Yoe on the Dragon Mine. Yoe is down. Not the start you wanted as TNC, as now they're onto Cuckoo, but Q's waving him goodbye. Mid-freezing field, see you later. And Aurora, they'll have first dibs on Roshan. TNC will not be able to counter this one out.
Now, it's just so simple for Aurora. And they've got the back wall, managed to isolate those 2 cores running forward. Full Ags flying in for 23 now as well, as they take the Aegis. Secondary life on hand for the Gyro, into the Butterfly, into, I'm assuming, the Daedalus and Satanic here for 23, although maybe disassembly play down the line just to have some efficiency here on our Gyro. TNC, they need this at least 1 BKB up before they can commit. It's just not safe for Yoe to initiate like this. Jing is a long ways off from his as a support Marcy this game. A very slow game for this Marcy to really start to pop off. It's more waiting time. Again, that's waiting time that Aurora is heavily enjoying in this game. Lots of comfort to just scale up here. I'm not even sure if the BKB is fully enough for Yoe. Again, it doesn't feel like the follow-through is really there. The output of Palace isn't at critical mass just yet. We
need something, that's for sure, right now. I think the BKB's still going to be very, very important just to be able to survive the initial initiations from Aurora, which have been very, very strong. Props to Jabs as well. Jabs has been very good at landing some very nice walls, always catching Yoan with the walls, and I think that's very important, right? Like, if you get that Dragon Knight illusion, it does just deal so much damage over time. Jabs always ensuring that wall does land at the right moment and has been making a big difference in these fights. Speaking of BKBs, of course, now you've got Lorinov with his own BKB up on the DP. You're about 250 gold away as well for Q to have the Shadow Blade, so he's going to start making it pretty impossible for the waves to push out himself. So that is Spirit Breaker at the moment. You just charge waves with Shadow Blade and, you know, just wipe out a wave over and over again. And of course, with the Bull Rush facet, they can't actually catch you. It's great. I love it.
Yeah. It's easy lane control for Q, easy scaling to find. You have the Ags up on Cox, but again, the Venge doesn't feel crazy with that just yet. It does feel like you want at least level 2 swap for the range. You want some more items up for presence. He's going for Shard Dragonlance.
Bottom? Oh, bottom?
That is down bottom.
Palos? Palos caught out. Palos is down. Jabs will take the kill. That's your saving grace. I mean, TNC, they can't afford to lose their Weaver like that. He's second in their worth now to 23 Savage, and Aurora, like, if they get a couple more kills on Palos, 23 Savage, he'll well and truly take over the game. Boy, oh boy, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on Palos this game too to make sure his carry really pays off, but I mean, for now, dying like that's not going to feel too good.
Certainly not. Do finally hit that BKB time for Yoa. They're going to need Palos for the damage. It's going to be hard to try to dig through 23 and all that he has right now. BKB only one part away. Can use this opening for themselves. Are hanging further behind Tier 1. As Aurora might be able to bait in with her own smoke here. See how far TNC will push with this one. If you start to give more mistakes out, it does feel scary. They'll go for the Tormentor instead on TNC's part, so not going to take that risk. Just get themselves a nice free shard on Jing, a little bit more utility with that rebound. More options to jump off of, at the very least, makes the initiation angles easier to find. But you're playing into that 4K deficit 20 minutes in, 21 minutes in. It's not massive, but it is significant enough to be felt. And Savage is becoming a massive issue in these fights. BKB almost done now on the gyrocopter. I don't know how you deal with Lorinov in his BKB running around with Spirit Siphons at this point as well. It's a lot to contend with. No healing reduction, nothing to go through spell immunity here. Just not enough BKBs for you to feel comfy. Palos is trying to go for the Lincolns first, obviously to save up against a charge and Nether Strike. But the silences will still kill him off. So again, he's going to need a way to dispel this control that Lorinov has in spades. I don't know, like, as they're keeping the deficit within check at least, you know, like this gap isn't growing wider for Aurora. So TNC are working the map just as effectively. But it does feel like Aurora is just, right now, is stronger with what they have with these initial item and level spikes on hand. They don't have much to be scared of.
No, absolutely not. Maybe the Zap damage room by Palos could be a little bit scary, but I highly doubt he actually uses it to fight. Seems like TNC are well and truly aware that they are just relegated to farming right now. They cannot take a team fight into the Aegis of 23 Savage. Speaking of that Aegis, though, it is going to expire in 10 seconds. Problem is, he now has a full BKB. TNC, however, knowing the Aegis does expire, they are going to smoke up as 5, but again, Aurora know this is coming. The Aegis just expired, so the smoke is very obvious. And again, I think the timing for the BKB, or rather the smoke, is kind of awkward now, because 23 Savage has a BKB up. Could be a very hard fight. They'll jump in, but they miss out on Q to start. They'll get the stun on 23 Savage, but they're in the tree line. It's a very ugly position so far for the side of TNC, as Cox has already lost his life. They're on to Palos now. Palos, he's locked down on the Weaver. He'll time-lapse away, but the silence is out and Palos is down. Oh, it's too forced. The smoke is way too obvious. Like, as the Aegis expires, Aurora, they're too experienced for that crap. They know it's coming.
That they are. It's Q to break the smoke in the low ground, has the Shadow Blade. They don't instantly find a Dragon Tail stun. There's enough time for Aurora to set up into that fight. don't really even have to expend anything. Again, Palos, with a lack of BKB, just has no presence up front. He needs a Linken's and a BKB. He needs those 2 defensive items. And that's just not enough space for the Weaver to find that farm. They lose their tier 2 here. Aurora, 8k advantage now, 17-7. In strong form in this game number 2, and TNC looking a little bit lost. Their draft not doing them that many favors. Just trying to farm up on Jing, trying to get this catch up on Cox. All the cores just lagging behind, but not too badly on the other 2, but certainly this Venge suffering. And this Marcy not popping off, although
they actually kill Q. They can. All right, I'll get something. Jing will take that kill on the Marcy. Trying to work towards his BKB right now on that support Marcy. Meanwhile, TNC trying to bait with the Illusion Room, but eventually they do just give it over to Yoe. Oli does not bother trying to jump in on the Phoenix to take that away himself. Not really a big deal anyway. Savage again, top net worth on the Gyrocopter, working towards that butterfly into the Satanic next. He's getting well and truly to the stage where he's getting out of control. And it's not like you're going to have an MKB on Palos anytime soon either. Like, he's going for a Lincoln Sphere now on the Weaver, but that butterfly is going to cause them a hell of a lot of problems in terms of how you actually burst the Gyrocopter down. We'll see what the answer is going to be, but it does feel like you're going to have to start really just ignoring 23 Savage in the fights and trying to go after everyone else first. But that is much easier said than done.
And there's, considering again the build-up here on Jabs, Guardian Greaves and Crimson Guard, lots of physical protection here for the side of Aurora. You don't have the greatest HP on Jabs to really maximize the Crimson, but it's more than enough, even with just the base reduction of 70. That's going to be quite a fair bit of damage coming here from TNC, just cut off whenever that's active from Jabs. Makes it hard to, again, see an angle in for TNC at the moment. And the lead, again, not widening for Aurora during this farm time. Q trying to go for a deep chase, but does just go to check for the bounty and does back off. Very speedy in that Spirit Breaker at this point. Aurora, I mean, once they hit this critical mass, the answers for TNC are very hard to find. Like, Roshan is back up. This is going to be the focus point for Aurora next. TNC just going to gate across. Looks like they're not even going to contest this, which is fair. Again, TNC could probably make some pickoffs, but a wider fight just doesn't seem feasible at all. They spot out that Roche. They just need 23 to join in. We've got Lornoff coming up. We'll just finish up this full butterfly first. And Roche is not going to be too long whatsoever. I don't know, this farming game for TNC just feels awful. Like, you've got a Venge Core playing from behind. It's not amazing. You've got your DK forced to go S and Y just to stand forward. So, his damage output isn't best. He is fairly tanky, but it doesn't feel like the follow-through is there. Like, your Reaver is doing nothing at this point from Palos. Just seeing so much defensive, and here goes the Roche.
Here we go. Roshan. Start by Aurora, and it is not going to take too long for them to finish this one off. Full butterfly completed now on 23 Savage. We have the Chrysalis in just a moment on top. The Savage will get away with this no problem. Aegis will be picked up by the Gyro, so will the Cheese. Lorenov doesn't care for either of that crap. He's perfectly fine as is. And it still feels like Aurora are well and truly just controlling this game number 2 with a 3k advantage. TNC still stuck just farming, trying to catch up the best they possibly can. But there's just been no progression. Like, Palos is almost at a Lincoln Sphere now, but that's still not going to save the game at all. You know, you still need a way of actually hitting 23 Savage throughout these fights. And the fight is going to be coming within the next 4.5 minutes. I mean, he's got plenty of time in the Aegis to decide when he wants to go for the big smoke up. So I imagine that timing will be rather soon.
And it should be. And again, you've got some tools on TNC. BKB done for Jing. So the Marcy can start to play forward. And the Weaver, the damage just doesn't feel like it's coming in. Like you mentioned, the Butterfly is going to cause issues. Lincoln's alone, again, doesn't feel like it's enough, especially if the silence is on point from Lornoff. Still have to worry about that control here from Aurora. Cox is playing around his own vision. Should be safe to back off after clearing out. Is trying to go for the Manta on the Venge. Trying to have a little bit more stats to pad as a universal type. Tier 2 is exposed and is under siege from 23. TNC cannot hope to take a fight outside or high ground at this point. Aurora in complete control of the game so far. And the lead is narrowing. It's 2 to 3k. It dropped from 4. We are getting, again, progression on Jing. We've got good scaling from Palos and Yo. It just feels like these items are way too far for them to find just yet. Full sight of Vice now up for Ollie. Even more control that TNC aren't geared to really handle. I suppose you always have the swap saves from Cox, but it feels like it's about it in terms of trying to bail out from some bad engagements here.
Oh yeah, it's a very tough position at this point if you're TNC. And Aurora having a very, very good game. Lincoln Sphere now up on Palos. You do have your BKB on Jing. You've got a Nullify being built up on Yoet. Like if the game just continues to drag on, sure, I could see a comeback happening. But for now, if a fight breaks up for Aurora, they should have a pretty decent time. Seems like Savage wants to wait for the Satanic to be up before he gets going. Which is fair, because with the Satanic, he's going to be quite literally unkillable. The rest of TNC, again, buying themselves more and more time. Manta being built up on Cox. So much time feels like it's required here for their end of things to really make the big comeback they're looking for.
Under attack. Radiant's top tower is under attack.
This Nullifier pickup for Yoa.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Sure, it does feel good. I think the issue is you lose the lane even harder. Right, if you're in the laning phase, you're trying to trade with right clicks with Wave of Terror. I think it just sets up for a rougher time, especially as a poor Venge. Especially in trying to farm up. So, there's an argument to be made, but yeah, it's very conditional. I think if you do go for that pass, it has to only be support. Even then, it's like very dependent if you're expecting the game to go slow. Which, you know, you shouldn't be setting yourself up to do on a draft, but you do have time to adjust, I suppose, when you go in. It's a good chunk of damage, though. I was gonna say, this Nullifier for Yoa is a good solution to some of the blocks coming in, especially the Crimson Guard, so it should allow them to focus in on the target without worrying about the damage block coming in from jabs and his auras. And you have so many big issues to worry about. The BKB done out for Q, his charges are free, high ground already beginning, although
Savage,
the swap.
Savage, he's underneath tier 4 towers, he does have the Aegis up there on a big back wall! Oh, jabs! Jing and Betty Cooper, they're both down. Yoa's got to get the hell out. Oh boy, Savage, no wonder he was just standing there taking it. He was waiting for Japs to come in and teach him a lesson on TNC. There goes your tier 3 mid tower. There goes your racks. And maybe, there goes TI 13 for TNC. Aurora, they're looking to put a close on this game too and secure their spot. They're on to the secondary lane of Barracks, tier 3 tower under siege. Savage is absolutely massive. Jing, he's going to try and jump in, but he can't kill off Q. Savage, he'll dispel the frostbite. It seems like Jing will die. No buyback. 3 versus 5 here for Aurora. Q will reset in the fountain. He can charge back at any time. Cheese is still up on Savage, don't forget, so he's got his own reset to come as Palos will start, but look at the damage. Or lack thereof, rather. Just no damage from this Weaver.
Making mistakes.
Savage will eat the cheese.
It's just not there. They need good isolation with a swap from Cox, but it doesn't feel like
swap out
Savage
again. They'll try another time. They'll try to do it the secondary life. The back is out again. Call down is committed. Savage. They found Yoe. The Dragon Knight down. Cuckoo in trouble. He'll survive thanks to the Glimmer Cape, but for how long? He'll make it out, but there's 2 Raxes down now. There still is an outer tier 2 tower, but Aurora now one lane of barracks away from securing their own spot at TI-13.
Palos?
Palos, they're moving in. Cox, he wants to try and get the fight started early, but the Hex is out from Ollie. It'll lock him down. The Phoenix alive with the vacuum again from Jabs into the three-man silence. Cuckoo is gone. Cox is gone. Palos is down. There's no buybacks left. That's got to be it, John. Without the Weaver, how do you defend?
You can't. You can't unless maybe Savage runs up closer to Fountain and gets swapped in. That's the only play I see left for TNC. Aurora playing clean, playing confidently here in game 2. No shenanigans out from TNC, no stall outs.
Oh, there's no way.
And this is the Aurora we were looking for in these kinds of games.
Oh, they're just huge now. Savage giving no chances out as they take down Cox another time. They want the remnant. He'll swap Jing in, but Q will say thank you very much. And GG has called. Aurora have done it. They secure their spot at TI-13. It'll be Talon and Aurora as the congratulations do come out. TNC with the good sportsmanship at the end of this game.